So Facebook is becoming more of this like marketplace and like meme sharing page.
I definitely know that like 90% of my posts that I see are memes.
Right.
And so, like my favorite one right now is the Thanos from Infinity War or from Endgame.
Right.
And my favorite one is the where he's like, post the meme, and then you see his friend, the Black Order guy. He's just like, but you won't be able to see the entire thing. And that's it. Like I said, the actual end part where it shows him like saying, just do it anyways, or whatever. That's my favorite one.
That's funny. Yeah, man, I've been going through the whole marketplace, like, app, like, section now they have on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of, like, people trying to get rid of Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I noticed that too.
And it's like they're either like huge amounts of quantity of them for free, or people are wanting like 200 for them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think you should go to a private seller if you're trying to sell that shit.
Yeah.
And then there's some like weird ones too, where like I think there's a dude charging like $1 in Fort Collins to just like clean like cars out.
What?
It says it's like $1, but I don't know.
It's
if
like
it
probably
is.
$1 a minute. Or something like that.
There's like some weird shit on there. And then like with the Wish app like always advertising on fucking Facebook.
Dude, Wish thinks I have a weird taste in stuff cuz like
dude, Wish thinks everyone has a weird taste in stuff.
Yeah, cuz like from one of mine it was freaking the lace bras and then Lilu lingerie from oh my god, I can't believe I forget. The Fifth Element. And then it'll go PlayStation, cool hoodie, like this cool. There's this one hoodie I've actually been super tempted to buy.
Yeah.
And it's this pullover hoodie that makes you look like you're wearing knight armor.
Oh, okay.
And the hood is actually like a whole entire helmet.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, I might buy that.
And there's fucking like Mercari too.
Yeah.
Like it's trying to sell me a PS Vita, and I don't think that's a PS Vita. It's just a screen. Welcome back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today, we're here to remind you that October's coming up. And with that means live shows for the Punk Rock Horror Podcast.
Yay!
So we're going to be partnering with Gorehound's Playground up here in Fort Collins, Colorado to start off these shows and get them settled in, basically.
Our second live show.
Our second, yes. Our second one. We want to partner with them and then help them out. As well, and it's going to be a fun time. No dates are selected yet, but stay tuned because those details will be coming out soon. Mm-hmm. We will be recording the podcast live. We'll be reviewing movies and watching at least one or two of those movies. These are all things that we're still ironing out with them over at Gorehounds, but it's going to be a great night. Snacks will be provided. We are going to charge an admission fee. Now, this is going to go to help benefit Gorehounds. Yeah. So it's going to help them keep their doors open and keep this amazing little video store open, and also to Punk Rock Horror Podcast as well. We're going to get in together with getting some merch out there, and it'll be a fun time, guys.
Yeah, and like and besides just Gorehounds, like definitely try and support your local like horror show stores if you can find them.
Yeah,
like that's why like I really want to keep supporting Gorehounds is because there's not really any horror stores. Like, not just videos, but, like, that, specialize in just horror.
Yeah.
It's probably Audrey. And then, but, yeah, because there's not a lot of, like, little horror shops around. And they always have really cool stuff. Because, like, at Gorehounds, they also sell, like, horror comic books. Like, I can't even find them anywhere else. Like, they just have them there. And, like, they sell merch and stuff like that, too. Horror merch. So, yeah, definitely go try and find and support a local horror shop.
So, stay tuned. You'll get all those details if you're on our Facebook, Twitter, or our Instagram as well. And sorry to all of our out-of-state ghouls and gals. We won't be able to bring this to you in your home state. This is something that we're trying to work on to get to a point where we can do that. Honestly, it comes down to funding.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why we do have our Patreon is to... if we get enough patron support, we can actually go state to state and start doing live shows and hang out with
merch
everyone
in our merch shop.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So definitely check those out. go check out your local horror shop, and then stay tuned for our live show at Gorehounds.
Yep.
We'll give you more info once we figure it all out.
And
moving on, what's happening in horror?
So this week we're gonna talk to you about things that are happening in horror to check out or to keep your eyes open for. Going forward, a lot of credit goes to Bloody Disgusting and the amazing people over there. We get a lot of these articles and information from them, and we fully support them and recommend that you do go check them out and read what's going on their end of the woods. Yep. And also because we're citing our sources.
Yep.
So, going forward, first things first, probably the biggest thing in news is that Zombieland 2 is finally coming out. It is slated for this October of the 18th. So, this time around, we see the old gang with Tallahassee, Columbus, Wichita, and Little Rock coming up to, deal with more zombies. And this time, there's more people involved. There are more survivors. The zombies are more intense. And it just looks like an all-around good time. Even Luke Wilson is in it, which is fucking weird.
I know. No, I'm super excited about this movie. Because I know, the sequel was up in the air for such a long time. And then also the possibility of being a TV show instead when that was a big thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited that it's getting done and that the original cast came back for it. So
for sure, it's fucking exciting.
And the trailer dropped and it looks so good.
Right.
I'm so excited.
With Tallahassee sitting in the White House the main
he's
chair.
I think I would have made a great president.
Yeah. So, other things to check out. So if you have a Nintendo Switch. And you're needing something a little more intense and a little more horrific that isn't Outlast or Resident Evil. And
a little bit more along the lines of an actual first-person game besides Doom 2016 and Wolfenstein.
We have good news for you. Not just Doom 1 or Doom 2, but Doom 3 are going to be coming to the Switch, along with on PlayStation and I think Xbox as well. But it's also coming to your Android and iOS devices. You're getting all 3 Dooms, good to go. And the fact that it's now on the Switch makes it so much easier to catch up with these classics, because I know Turok is on there now.
See, I've been liking playing these games on the Switch, mostly because since the Switch is portable. I can play while I'm out, on my breaks at work or on my downtime, while I'm out and about.
Right.
Because, that's my biggest thing about getting through all these, super great, fantastic games on the PlayStation is I'm rarely home.
Yeah.
So, I'm super excited about that, especially Doom 3, because that's one I would never got a chance to play.
Samesies.
So, I'm so super excited about that.
Yeah, I know that one got a lot of flack because it was, a real change in pace.
It worked though. From what I've seen, it worked for the Doom universe because they tried something different, and even though it got a lot of flack, where it's not Doom, it was still a solid horror game.
Right.
What's scarier than demons coming onto your fucking planet and just wrecking shit?
Right.
So. Yeah.
Oh god, I am yawning. I'm sorry.
Tie.
I'm a little tie. The dude fucking still trips me up. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm tie. Did I ever talk about that on the podcast?
Yes, you have.
Okay, good.
We've talked about it more than once.
Because that dude was tie.
I know.
He was super tie. Fucking, I'm tie. Fucking, you're a grown ass man. Why can't you say tie-erd?
Okay. The James Wan producing I Know What You Did Last Summer pilot for Amazon.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting I Know What You Did Last Summer TV show, which, is kind of come out to, lukewarm reception. It definitely came out in the time of the 90s where, slashers, especially teen slashers, were everywhere.
Yeah.
So it came out to
it was one of the better ones.
Oh, it really was. Especially for, I kind of like it because so here's the thing. The cast. Yeah, I was like... The Casper... The cast that they have in that movie is definitely would have made or broke that film, and it definitely made that film. So they got really lucky with that.
MTV's Scream, it did pretty decently.
Yeah, but everyone kind of forgot about it.
Yeah,
no offense, but
So, I don't know. It might work. I just don't know how the I Know What You Did Last Summer would work as an ongoing series instead of a special miniseries.
Well, as reported from Bloody Disgusting, prolific producer Neil H. Moritz has signed a new 3-year overall deal with Sony Pictures Television for his original film banner, with I Know What You Did Last Summer being one of the projects. So the series is set up at Amazon and is described as a young adult horror series based on the Moritz-produced hit movie franchise. So, I mean, let's hope it comes out on a better stretch there.
You doing all right here?
I don't know what fucking happened there just now,
what's
man.
What's going on with you?
I am fucking there. God, dude. You know what fucking happens on Sundays when we record on Sundays is I'm running at the lowest of my batteries, fucking, and my gas and everything, and I'm just like fucking like tired, and so that's when the Australian mott takes
like
over.
A mix between like Australian and British.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's kind of.
Because you're like my Australian mott.
I mean, I figured I'd go with a cheesy accent since we're talking about cheesy movies.
Fair enough.
So nope, that's not true.
This kind of weirds me out because I don't know why this is a thing or where it fucking came from.
I'm in support of it.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'd be fine. I wish they were saying that they just wanted to do a second Halloween. But anyways, there's a petition that's aiming to move Halloween to the final Saturday in October. So it wouldn't be October 31st anymore. It would always be the final Saturday.
Which, like, I know for some creeds and religions out there, it does have to be on that day. But I will argue, so it could be, like, celebrated for everyone, let's put it on a Saturday. I don't know.
I don't want it to be on a Saturday.
Because you wouldn't be able to?
Because I'll never leave work.
Oh, yeah. That'd be kind of rough, man. So, yeah, we should have a second Halloween then.
Yeah, just do second Halloween.
So, I mean, even are they going to do it if that petition passes?
I don't know. How do you change a holiday?
I mean, they did it with Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and Mother's Day. Father's Day. In reality, Christmas.
Basically what we're saying is here in the U.S., we live in a reality made up with a bunch of lies. So every holiday is made up except Halloween, and they all suck. That's what we're kind of getting at.
I like Thanksgiving.
Don't even get me started on that
just
shit.
saying.
I will fucking go into this again.
It's the only time I get to see my family.
That is the only caveat.
Yeah.
That is the only one.
All right.
I'm just saying.
That's why I like it.
Like, if we're going to go down the whole genocide... Well, yeah. But again, if we're gonna go down the whole genocide like thing, like don't even like fucking.
What's a genocide? That doesn't exist.
What's a genocide? What's a genocide? That's made up by the government. And so and now just so you know, Shudder is getting some new arrivals this August, including the first 6 Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yes.
So unfortunately for Cody, he's not gonna be able to watch his remake. But fortunately for Erin's sake, she's not going to have to see the remake. So I guess it's like 50-50.
All I'm saying, I enjoy the remake. Okay, I like it.
No, it's cool. I just like that's just a fact of the moment. A few movies that are going to be coming out aside from that is Incident in a Ghostland, Beelzebub, again the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, Moon, El Gigante, The Quiet Room, Raising Cain, Slumber Party Massacre 2 and 1, Chopping Mall, Get My Gun, Why Horror, and
Moon,
so on and so on and so forth. There's going to be a huge selection coming out, so get ready, August. I mean, you fucking, and everybody who has a Shudder subscription, we're going to be in some great new horror movies or some classics that we can watch again. I know, I'm excited. So, and last thing I'm going to recommend is if you have Amazon, like, subscription, especially an Amazon Prime subscription, I'm going to strongly recommend that you check out The Boys. So
I'm super excited about this show. I want to watch it so bad.
It is really good. It is mostly made up of like non-known actors.
Yeah.
So I like that about that because it's easier to like get invested in them.
Yeah.
But there are a few like well-known ones. There's Elizabeth Shue. There's Simon Pegg, who does an American accent and is still fucking weird. And there's the one and only, probably like one of our favorite action heroes ever. Besides like Bruce Campbell, Carl Urban.
Yeah, I fucking love Carl
that dude.
Urban.
Like
he's such an underrated action hero.
Take it as you want. I think he's better than Bruce Willis.
Oh, I like him better than Bruce Willis.
Like fucking, I'll throw shade all day. Like just to like stand up for Carl. Like fucking
and for Kevin Smith.
Yeah. Fuck
Bruce
yeah.
Bruce Willis was a dick to him.
Yeah, fuck you, Bruce Willis, and your bald-headed fucking cunty attitude.
Jesus.
You know what you did to Kevin.
But moving on. So this was actually kind of an interesting topic.
Yeah. So
and what I like about it is that it's a fan topic. So one of our listeners actually threw us out this topic.
Yeah.
Idea. I know we have several from other fans, but the topics they threw out were saving for like certain later on down the road.
Well, you know what I think, Cody. I think what we should do with this is make this a Patreon reward where people can decide what we talk about for a week. Yeah. So I would say if you haven't checked out our Patreon yet, maybe just like follow us, and when that award comes out and you want us to talk about a specific thing, as long as you're a patron, we'll put up. We'll talk about it a little later. Like first, without trying to like go into this whole idea. So I came out with this post of a selfie saying that we're struggling figuring out what to talk about for this week. Yeah. And so shout out to
because we had a couple ideas, but we weren't like gung ho about it.
Yes. You know? So we had a gal reach out to us and say, and her name is Ellen Joyce at Ellen Joyce. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Oh, that was bad. You get at Ellen Joy at Ellen Joy Cuther. Huh. Or no, Ellen Joyce author. God, I'm a fucking idiot. God damn it. Dude, like, I don't know what it is today, but I'm so fucking bad. I tried making Joyce and then A-U part of her, like, fucking, like, last name. Like, so her last name is, like, Joyce.
Ellen Joyce.
Ellen Joyce. And I tried doing Joyce A-U. So, like, Joyce Q.
Joyce
Q. And I'm like, oh, it's Joyce author. I'm a fucking moron. So, anyway, sorry, Ellen. I do apologize for just butchering your fucking name there. Point being, so she gave us this idea of talking about the intersection of eroticism and horror within horror movies. Yeah. And so we were like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Let's take on this challenge. So our listener participation corner this week was we're going to talk about horror movies that emphasize on fear, but also an erotic nature as well. We wanted to know what is your favorite horror film that has this theme and why. Now, honestly, I think we have a pretty broken even, like close to broken even, like amount of comments on both Facebook and Twitter for this one.
Yeah, we got 5.
Yeah, we got 6.
Nice.
So,
cool.
Yeah, so about 6. So, I guess in this case, I'll do the Twitter one, just to knock it out real quick. So, from Crash Palace, at Crash Palace, Little Deaths, a horror anthology about sex and horror. It's wonderful, and the title comes from how the French view an orgasm as a quote-unquote little death. And so, Ellen Joyce did comment a few times so on this exact post. So, I'm going to just read one that I think really stood out the most out of her comments, which was from Ellen Joyce at Ellen Joyce author. Yes, I learned from my mistakes. One of the most disturbing use of sex in horror for me was the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, when the mutant cannibal breastfeeds. Such a visceral delivery of the message of outsider taking what forbid them. Like, if the guy had been pissing on an apple pie, it could have not been more obvious. As a transgressive, I found the entire scene revolting. I felt pity for the mutant, which was not the intended effect, I'm sure. Really kind of, like, philosophic way to look into that, too. Yeah. Like, right on. I mean, like... Damn. Because you do kind of feel, like, sad for them, because they are tragic characters. I mean, they're fucking monsters, but they're tragic characters. From Polling These podcast, at Polling These. Hostel 2. The bathtub scene was a good mix of both to me. Heather Matarazzo and Monica Malikova made that scene work.
That was an intense scene.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I always forget about it until someone brings it up. I'm like,
the worst part of that is when the scythe finally hits. Yeah. Just like the way they pull off that effect. You're like, oh God.
Jesus. No.
Yeah. From Samuel Glass Jr. at MovieMan2010, no conversation about horror and sexuality can be complete without throwing in a shout out to movies like Teeth, Rabbit, Videodrome, The Woman, or wonderful Eurosleaze entries like Vampires, Daughters of Dracula. Yeah, it's true though. That fucking movie is like right on top of that shit.
You know what? I feel like I want to watch this movie now.
Right.
That's just a random fucking name.
Yeah, but anyways, over to the Facebook.
Yep, on the Book of Faces, our very own Dev commented, Tusk, puke, puke, Saw series, and Silence of the Lambs. I cannot sit through either of those films. I see the Silence of the Lambs. And Tusk. Just wondering about Saw, the sexual tension. Oh, I guess torture porn.
Well, yeah. And I guess, like, I think it's, like, the second or third one where, like, he has a protege who has, like, a hard-on for him.
Oh, it's the third one. You find out she's the protege in the second one, then you see how much she relishes being his number one.
Yeah.
In this third one.
And she's like, hit me, daddy.
Yeah.
Put that bitch up on my dirty, slutty face.
And then Lauren, this one is hard. This one is a hard one for me because it is touchy. The movie I think that really emphasizes fear the most is I Spit on Your Grave. But it can happen, and unfortunately does happen. Being a survivor of what happens in this film is triggering and unsettling for sure. However, what I think is amazing about it is we see the female character overcoming her fear and what she went through in the most brutal and badass way possible. I fully believe that the point of it is you can overcome anything by fighting for your life and rising out of the ashes like a phoenix and taking control. But I love this movie because of it hits close to home. So I totally was like reading this and I was like, man, Matt, you told her everything to type until I saw the like rises from the ashes like a phoenix.
Yeah.
I was like, that's something Lauren would say.
She actually did message me. She's like, hey, do you think I should talk about I Spit on Your Grave? And I was like, just be really careful how you word it.
Yeah.
Like, we really don't want to like emphasize like the kink of like rape being a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. We'll talk more about that here in a second, but let's continue with this.
Matthew said Hellraiser, first appearance of Pinhead, an intelligent villain. Very true. Justin, Piranha 3D, out of the pure ridiculousness, topless women being eaten alive is so strange to process visually. Kind of is. I mean, same with snakes on a plane, right when that snake bites her nipple.
Yeah. It was like,
and then our very own Anna, Human Centipede, really gets her going.
Shut the fuck up.
I know, shut up.
Get the fuck out of here. What the fuck is wrong? Oh god, she's shitting in his mouth. Fuck yeah. Oh god, fuck. Oh, they're stitching the anus now. Oh, fuck, that's so hot. Oh god, there's a second one. It's a bigger centipede. Oh shit.
It's all in an all-male prison. God.
Fuck yeah. Oh, eat that poo.
Yeah, get the cuttlefish. Get that cuttlefish.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, my God.
With the German accent.
Und Scheiße.
Oh, Scheiße. Ah.
Scheiße.
Fucking, look, Anna, you brought it to the table. You didn't have to.
He said it.
No one forced you. She's like, I know she's like, this is going to be fucking funny. They got nothing for this. Well, guess what?
We don't need to know about the fecophiliacs.
We're the kings of immature, so. So, fuck that. So, jumping into today's topic. So, the question is, do we talk about the history behind this, or do we just talk about the interest? And I think
it's a good mixture of both.
And I think the catalog, so the subgenre for it is so big and massive that all pun intended, since it's erotic. And, because of this, I think we should probably revisit this subject later on in another day. But I think right now, let's just talk about why it's such a huge kink, why it's interesting, and that intersection in general. So, because looking through these movies and looking through all of it, I didn't realize how many of these movies are apparent. Yeah, especially in horror, Probably one of the more noticeable ones that have won awards is The Shape of Water.
Yeah. All about a woman falling in love with a fish man.
Right. So let's define what erotic horror is a little bit more. So everyone that's kind of still kind of hazy on it might not know. So
it's not porn.
No. So erotic horror is more so the eroticism within horror. And what we're talking about specifically is the movie Jennifer's Body. So, this is a good example of this because it follows a woman named Jennifer, played by Megan Fox, obviously, who is this seductive individual. She uses her body, and there's a very sexy nature to her. And there's a fear behind that because she seduces men and kills them. but it's a turn on because
she's a succubus.
Yeah, she's a succubus, but there's a kink there for that. And so people enjoy that. So kind of going a little more in depth with this, Species was like like one of the first movies to really emphasize this. Now, to be fair, obviously there was a lot of movies.
That's the one that like I can remember.
Yeah, well, and that's the one that really like puts it in your face too, because it follows this alien creature
where the only like her whole entire thing for existence is to procreate.
Yeah,
like she has to have sex with a male and make babies.
Well, and even
that's
in
the whole entire thing.
And even in the second one, when there's a male species like alien, they fight while having sex.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of like what we're talking about here, is that there's this heavy emphasis of sex within a horror movie, and that it fits.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, you can kind of argue like Friday the 13th and all the whole horror cliches that you had in there. Like, if you have sex in this movie, you're gonna die.
Right.
Like...
And that's more in the opposite of direction for it, too, where it's like... So, Ellen Joyce, when she brought up this suggestion to us, pointed out that there's very little difference between arousal and fear, like, psychologically. Yeah. And I'm summing it up, to be fair.
Like, fear boners are real.
Yeah. Right? You get, like, the situation is so intense and makes you feel so uncomfortable that you're kind of seeing the kind of person you are and what you have.
Yep.
Another good example of this is that recently... There's this company that makes sex toys, and I was telling you about this earlier today. But one of the sex toys they make is an alien dick, and that alien dick has like an egg that you self-insert, and then a woman can use to please herself, and then insert herself with that egg, and the egg like is made out of a gelatin compound, so that way if it gets stuck in in the vagina, like it just dissolves easily. And this is a kink.
That's funny.
It's funny, but it's an actual kink. Now, one thing we're going to preface is that if we laugh at your kink or we think it's funny, know that we're not actually trying to tear you down or tear your kink down.
There's no kink shaming. It's for us, like, things that we don't know about, like, generally when we find out and, like, it can seem uncomfortable, we giggle about it. Like, that's how we are. Like... I mean, I just giggle about sex talk anyways, because I'm immature and I'm 3 years old. And
again, we already said we're the proclaimed kings of immature.
Yeah.
And to also kind of like be fair, like we understand it's your kink, but just like laugh a little. Like it's just like
we're not making fun of you.
Yeah, you're not a fucking terrible person for liking this shit. There's nothing wrong with you.
No.
Everyone has their urges. Everyone has their own kinks, and you shouldn't be ashamed of it. We're not shaming you of it. Just be open to making fun of it.
Yep.
Is what we're kind of getting at.
Kink safely.
Have kink safely. That's our next shirt. Kink safely. And then we're going to have like a dude in like a leather like gimp outfit. Just like with like kind of like hands on like the hips. Like just like kink safely.
Oh my god, it should be like the restroom people stall little dude. And he just has like one hand up and one on his hip. Like, kink safely.
Kink safely. Right. So we stayed away from Wikipedia on this one, so be thankful of that. But we did find this great article on Sci-Fi's website, the channel Sci-Fi to be specific. We took a couple notable sayings in that and articles from that. But that whole article itself is really good. So please go over to Sci-Fi's article and coverage on eroticism in horror or erotic horror. It's called A Sneak Peek in Erotic Horror, and it's just a really good article. So, going forward, from that article, great pop culture is inherently transgressive, and that's a phenomenon that becomes all the more potent when it's focused on the sexual desires of women and non-binary people. Fiction that steadfastly refuses to conform to patriarchal standards or archaic understandings of what is quote-unquote normal is a means for readers and writers alike to find liberation beyond our social norms. In her paper, Women's Horror as Erotic Transgression, Gina Whiskers summarizes erotic's horror hook for women as, quoted, desire, it seems to argue, does not have to be linked to sin and duty. Philosophically, and then, actually, much contemporary women's horror denies the destructive polarities of male/female, good/bad, passive/active, and life/death. This it does by refusing to configure women as victims, hags or femme fatales, and celebrating women's sexual energies in both lesbian and heterosexual relationships, breaking taboos and rewarding this conventional assessed transgression.
So, a huge chunk of the paranormal romance genre relies on flirtations with the monstrous and their inherent allure, be it vampires, werewolves, or creatures much darker. Erotic horror is a natural extension of that category, but its intents are far more explicit. This is a genre that wants to make you uncomfortable in every way possible because it's through that discomfort that we discover ourselves. Erotic horror isn't just a frequently maligned genre, it's one that frequently faces the all too real threat of censorship. In 2013, yeah, we were talking about this earlier,
Yep.
Amazon started removing a large number of self-published erotic novels from their Kindle service. This came after the former tech reporting website The Kernel wrote a story titled An Epidemic of Filth, attacking the site's hosting of books that featured rape fantasies, incest porn, and graphic descriptions of bestiality and child abuse. A barrage of negative headlines from more reputable organizations like the BBC and The Guardian followed. British chain WH Smith even shut down its website entirely and released a statement saying that they would reopen once all self-published ebooks have been removed, and we are totally sure that there are no offending titles available.
So a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll start from why you shouldn't be ashamed of this, and that everyone has these desires. So, going forward, I mean, probably a few of these kinks and like these that I know of specifically is so there's these things called like vor and like goro. Mm-hmm. So these are probably a few more of the like intense ones that are a little more common. Where vor is the whole kink of like being eaten whole. Mm-hmm. So like you'll see like
wait, what?
Yeah, so like it'll have like
That's cool.
To get perspective, like you'll have everything from as tense as like a naked woman being eaten whole by a giant python.
Yeah.
To like Princess Peach being eaten by one of those piranha plants. And it varies in sexual nature, where they're either being penetrated or they're naked and just get eaten, or they get penetrated and then get eaten. Like it kind of varies.
Kind of like the praying mantis.
Yeah, kind of like that, except they're live. Now Guro is a little more intense. Guro is like gory depictions of sexual acts. So it's like, say you have a female and a male having sex like normal, and then a male just like takes his like hand and like shoves it through her chest and rips out her heart while he's still having sex with her. That's like a good idea. Or like Hellraiser.
I was gonna say from Crossed.
Yeah.
The second book, Family Values,
yeah.
where the mom, who all of a sudden gets infected, puts the knife where a dick would be.
Yeah.
And then face fucks her husband to death with it.
Again, Crossed is a really like intense comic series.
The husband was also really big piece of shit.
Yeah.
So he definitely deserved it.
But you're gonna have to read it to find out.
It's harsh. If
that's a road
it's a hard book to read.
If that's a road you want to go down, please feel free to reach out to us. We will comfort you through the entire process.
Hey, guess what?
What?
I'm the one who threw the cross reference in this time.
I know. I told you. You finally did it. Like, it's still a good read. It's fucking intense, but it's
intense, but it's a good story.
Yeah, that one is filled with Guro. I was also say though, like, so the Hellraiser recommendation on our listener participation, that's also like Guro. Like, that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, that's compared to what you see as Guro on the internet, that I unfortunately had to see. Trust me, it was not a good time. I was really scarred, man. Like, just doing research for this thing, like, I was like, oh, Guro, what's this? Why does this sound familiar? Like, I feel like I've heard of this before. And then I fucking looked it up, and I'm just like, oh my god!
I have not heard about it! I haven't heard about it!
So, it's fucking shocking, dude. Now, if this is your thing, I mean, I'm not gonna, like, hate on you. I'm gonna ask that you don't act this out in real life.
Yeah.
But, like, whatever you gotta do, man. I mean...
Yeah, and then also, like, this kink isn't also, like, these hardcore depictions like Guro, and I already forgot the other one. Vor. Like, it can also just be, like, actual consensual sex, but with a monster. Like, you know, for instance, The Shape of Water.
That's just more, like, on the extreme end.
Yeah,
I kind of want to point out.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give, like, the wide variety idea of what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look at fucking Bob's Burgers. Tina.
Yeah.
She's like the perfect embodiment of like this talk, and it just dawned on me.
Yeah.
Because she writes erotic fan fiction about zombies.
Oh shit, dude. Probably one of the biggest money-making ones out there was Twilight.
Yeah, Twilight.
Again, we can argue how much of vampires they are, because honestly, they're not. They're fucking not vampires. I will fight you.
But, you know, she like there was still like the interest of sleeping with the werewolf.
Yeah.
Or becoming like, you know, or with the vampire. So, I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, what's another good one? Oh, shit, even our old kid movies. Like The Little Vampire.
Yeah.
Like, it was about, like, a little boy and a girl falling in love. Like, little kids falling in love, having kid love, and one's a vampire.
Yeah, I would say let's talk about that. Like, I think, not that movie in particular, but just, like, we definitely see this a lot, mainly with, like, vampire stories.
Yeah, vampires or werewolves every now and then.
I would say werewolves comes in a very hard second because it's far more apparent in the vampire genre.
Yeah, I mean, but that's because like that's what vampire lore is based off of, is the love.
Well, like, and
or seduction, not love.
Well, and it teeters on like a really dark kind of a dark macabre setting. I mean, like a good example of this is Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some like really like hard scenes in that movie, especially with young Kirsten Dunst, to where the show that really capitalized on it was True Blood.
Yeah,
like that was one of the biggest appealing things about True Blood, was not just its lore and its characters, but the pure sexual nature throughout that entire show.
Yeah,
I mean, people loved watching True Blood because they knew exactly how to market those characters. You know, you were either in Bill's camp or you're I forget Alexander Skarsgård's character's name, but
I don't know.
But you're in his camp, and they were both like these seductive, like men who were mysterious and quiet, and had no problem being passionate in the bedroom. And then you had also women who were vampires or succubuses that were also very seductive and like very tempting creatures. Like, and then you kind of like felt weird about it. And this comes back to like this article where it's like it makes you feel uncomfortable. These type of like movies and shows. But then it makes you feel uncomfortable to the point that you kind of start realizing things about yourself. Yeah. So, like...
Oh, yeah. And, like, well, you know what's funny? Like, talking about True Blood, I was thinking, like, who didn't have like, you know, video gamers who didn't have a crush on, like, a virtual creature?
Right.
You know, like, for me, it was Morgan.
Fucking, from StarCraft, a lot of people loved the Queen of Knives.
Yeah, Kerrigan.
Yeah, Kerrigan. People have, like, and, like... Fucking a lot of people had a hard on for her, and even fucking
and she's
like,
a monster.
Like, yeah. Oh yeah, she's an alien monster.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like, you know, when I first saw this topic, you know, when you were saying, well, this is something that one of our listeners threw out to us, like I was totally like, first thing I totally thought of was like, what, porn, you know? But then after researching about it and us talking about it, I was like, oh man, this is super relevant in our culture. Like, I totally had a crush on Morgan. She's a succubus from Darkstalkers.
Well, kind of looking into
stuff
it,
like that.
Well, and I took this like issue as like a very second-handed thing. Like, I didn't really think it was like a big deal. And then I kind of realized like it's kind of something that I've been like passionate about myself, but in a different light. Is that in our culture, in the U.S. in the States, our culture, like, sex is definitely looked down upon. Like, the naked female body is looked down upon. The reason I exclude the male body is because that one's a little more...
We all know it's gross.
Yeah, that one's gross. I mean, it's not as, like, force-contained as a female body. I mean, and I'm not going to use the example of, like, breastfeeding, because this is not the right context for this. I more so mean, like... So I'm going to bring up the band, the Butcher Babies. So, I like the band. If you don't like them, it's whatever. When they first started out, they typed themselves as slut metal, as like an empowerment thing. Yeah. And when they would do shows, they would have black, like, taped pasties, like, on their nipples. Yeah. When they would fucking do their shows. And people were just, like, outraged that they did that. And then they made this point, is like, you know, it's kind of hypocritical that people are upset that we're putting, you know, tape on our nipples to, like, censor them, but we can't just, like, be walking around with our boobs out, but it's totally okay if men are playing with their shirts off or playing naked. And, you know, I think about it, like, Red Hot Chili Peppers and, like, all these other bands.
Flea.
Yeah, like, who have played naked have, like, always been cheered on. We're like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But then, like, two women decide to do it. And it's just like, wow, that's really slutty, and that's some like fucked up shit.
That is, because you know what's funny is like that's really fucked up in the sense of like burlesque shows and everything.
Yeah, it's
like,
all about like.
Well, no, burlesque shows are like super popular.
Yeah,
and it's looked up on and it's literally a girl stripping to pasties.
Right.
Like, down to her pasties, and that's it. And it's like, and that's seen in a good light, but to a band can't just go on stage, like, still censored.
Yeah.
And play, because, like, I totally get why they would want to do that, because first off, it gets fucking hot on stage.
Yeah, you gotta you gotta let the boobs breathe.
Yeah.
You gotta let them shoulder boulders fly free.
Yeah, so you gotta air them out.
And if shoulder boulders offend you, I apologize. But, like, the reason I brought that up is because I think we owe thanks to the subgenre of erotic horror, because it forces you to, like, face the things that you find sexually attractive, and it forces you to actually, like, get okay with that and settle with that. Because the fact of the matter is that everyone has their own unique kink. Now, to be fair, there is a line that is crossed when it is, like, you are wanting to commit incest or rape.
Yeah.
You know, and that isn't, like, a situation that isn't agreed upon between your spouse. Now, to be fair, I'm not saying, like, you should play, like, role plays of, like, incest.
No.
The point of being at is that I think we're in such a deprived, sexually deprived society that there's this pressure to enact those things, and then crimes are committed. And I don't know, maybe I'm just blowing smoke up my own ass at this point. but I think the point I'm trying to,
like, you had me until that last part.
Right. I think the point I'm trying to get at is that, you know, what we have these kinks where it's like we're attracted to mermaids, and we're attracted to, you know, these beautiful creatures that we see as beautiful in the ocean, or we're attracted to werewolves, and we're attracted to that visceral nature of just, like, having hot, sweaty sex in a primal, you know, setting.
Yeah.
Or, like, even vampirism. Like, that's a kink now. There are people out there in communities who like to try to drink blood. And I'm not going to say you should go drink blood. We're not going to say that. Don't go drink blood. You don't know what you're getting into with that. Point being is they do it safely. And, you know, I mean, there's even bands that kind of, like, fall behind that. So, like, Simbland.
Yeah.
They're a Brazilian gothic metal band. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure they're Brazilian. And they're all around, like, that whole gothic, vampiristic horror setting.
Yeah. Well,
like,
shit, Rammstein.
Fuck yeah, Rammstein.
Like, the whole reason, like, they even went to jail because they were doing that shit on stage.
Yeah.
Where, like, he simulated butt sex and stuff like that.
I mean, the U.S. is a bunch of fucking squares.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that did happen in Germany. That was weird.
That's where that Germany would get mad.
Yeah, that's why I said that's a little weird.
Huh. Anyways,
right.
But
I mean, it's only for a night, but
well, and I think this is what's good that it's in the horror setting, and it fits most in the horror setting. Is that when it comes to just horror in general, we're choosing to be faced with our own fears. We're choosing to be faced with the boogeyman in our closet at night, and to tell them that we're not scared of them, and to get used to that. And then it kind of makes sense of the fact that arousal and fear are so closely connected psychologically that we're like, okay, well, now we're going to kind of make you horny on aliens.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, like, also when it is another reason why not another reason. A great example of, like, horror using, like, eroticism to, like, scare you and everything. Movie Alien.
Yeah.
Like, I read an article. My God, I'm getting all tongue-tied. I read an article, like, about a year ago about the sexual innuendos and everything in the movie Alien.
Yeah.
And, like, the xenomorphs and everything, with the whole movie's talking about, like, the fear and the, like, horrible things about, like, rape.
Right.
And the sexual those, like, horrible sexual desires to have it. I mean, it's just, and, like, you don't think, when I read that article, like, it really hit me, because the xenomorph, you know, it's shaped like a dick, and then the tiny, you know, protruding mouth, the second mouth is supposed to be like the ejaculation or the penis.
Right.
You know, and then you have the face huggers that forcibly impregnate you and stuff like that. I was just like, holy shit. Like, and why the face hugger's mouth looks like a vagina. Have you ever noticed that?
I think I have, but I think I never really thought anything of it.
Yeah.
I think it was just supposed to be like, no, you know what? No, I never really kind of realized that. Because thinking about it, I think it just more looked like, I feel like somebody saw like a mollusk and was like, hey,
or a
stingray, and was just like, I'm going to make this into a thing.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be a vagina.
Huh.
Yeah.
So then what? In that case, does like the alien take the face hugger and just like and slap it against its face?
The face hugger's impregnating you.
Oh, okay.
It's like, it's all about, like, the sexual fears in people.
Oh, okay.
Is what kind of, like, the whole movie's.
Well,
like,
no, but that's what I mean. Is like, what if they didn't have humans? Like, do they just go to like a face hugger and be like, all right, it's me and you now. Just like slams a face hugger on his like tug repeatedly, just like.
Maybe. No, I'd have to be the back of the head. Yeah, he reaches all the way in the back.
You just... This is such a beautiful, intimate moment between two alien lovers.
Indeed.
But... And also one that I didn't realize would have been really good for this review is The Trouble with Them.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
That was for our French movies. For French
horror. Yeah, that's right.
That would have been a perfect one that I could. That would have totally been great for this week, and I didn't even think about that. I was like, The Trouble with Them. That's a good fucking movie. Fuck yeah. They're cannibals that like to get off on eating people. Whatever. I think it's good that we get to have these movies because it's that we do still live in a society that it is looked down upon to not like things that are out per norm, and you can blame that on whatever you want. Fact of the matter is that we just need to be more open to these things. I mean, we need to be open to these kinks, and you need to be open to your own kinks. It's your what you find interesting, and it's okay. Just don't be creepy about it, and that's just a general statement to everyone. It doesn't matter if you're into alien porn or if you're into regular lesbian porn or whatever. Fucking just don't be creepy about it. It's just a general rule.
You want to see my porn? It has an alien in it.
Right? Well, I mean, let's talk about it. Even in porn, it's made mass amounts of money. I mean, probably the biggest one that is erotic horror is tentacle porn.
Yeah, hentai.
Try to pretend that doesn't exist.
Japan is all over erotic horror.
There's, monster porn, where, monsters having sex with girls. There's that tentacle porn. There's, porn where it's a monster girl having sex with a monster guy.
All kinds of stuff. I mean, that's just one of my favorite animes. It's a terrible anime.
Yeah.
Rosario Vampire.
Oh, God, yeah.
That's all about him trying to bang the vampire.
Fucking, what is it?
And then the succubus is, always just, throwing her tits at him and shit.
High School of the Dead.
High School of the Dead, yeah.
I mean... That's the only reason why I haven't finished watching it, because I did...
Of how overly sexualized that show is.
Again, if that's your kink, there's nothing wrong with it. But I bought into it thinking it was mostly going to be about zombies.
Me too. I will admit, I kind of lost it just a little bit. I mean, I finished the season, but the scene we've talked about on here before where her tits just, miraculously bounce opposite directions for the bullet to go through.
Yeah, I was like, first of all, whose boobs are that flexible?
And whose boobs can move individually like that?
The tatas cannot move that. But, no.
but yeah, no, it's just... I don't know. I just think it was funny after researching this, how much erotic is actually in horror and everything. I know, I said at the beginning of the episode, the cliches, if you have sex, you're dead. But then, actually thinking about it, how many animes or even some cartoons, there's that whole entire romance with a human and this monster. And, in people, when you say it out loud... you think there's this little trigger in the back of your head, gross, what the fuck? Especially if you were to talk to someone normally about this, and they're like, well, did you like Twilight?
Yeah,
that's a human doing a vampire.
Well, and even expanding on that, probably one of the biggest comics about that is the Swamp Thing, and the horror movie The Swamp Thing, or The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
and probably one that's slightly more tame but still fits within it is King Kong.
Yeah, the beast falls in love with the one. And she ended up falling for the gorilla.
Yeah, and it's a total thing. I mean, obviously they're not gonna really expand on them having a love scene, because then that's gonna get bad fast.
Yeah, he's gonna kill her with just one
Yeah, and she drowned. How? By water. But how'd she drown by water? She just. How about you don't ask questions?
Yeah. You know what? She drowned. Let's just say that, okay? Let's not go into discussion about what the water or how thick it was.
Let's not talk about how overly salty it was.
How white it looks.
We're at the Punkrockhorrorpodcast. Podcast. We're your number one Christian podcast. we're chock full of family fun and good times.
Yep.
Oh my god, we just talked about gorilla
all
sperm.
wholesome.
There's nothing that we can't like discuss on this podcast. I swear to God, we're gonna like everything and anything. Like, you know who's
that's our goal.
Hey, speaking of, you know who's a big like gorilla jizz? Ben Shapiro. You'll see what I'm talking about on Friday's episode.
Yep. But yeah, no, it just blew my mind about all that, and because like, you know, I've always talked about like, I mean, shit, I liked Hermione. Like, I had a crush on Hermione, and she's a witch.
Hermione. You said Hermione.
I'm sorry.
No,
Hermione.
Dude, it threw me off. I was like, no, God damn it, Hermione.
Hermione. But yeah.
Try saying that 5 times fast.
But yeah, there's Hermione. Right, I mean, Hocus Pocus, like everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. Like,
come, my children.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, the whole entire movie was shoving abstinence in your face. Like,
except for Sarah Jessica Parker scene.
Yeah. He could open it because he's a virgin. He could destroy them because he's a virgin. I don't know. Like, I swear to God, I'm going to play a drinking game and you have to take a shot every time virginity is brought up. Like, but no, like, think about that. You justify it in your mind. You're like, oh, it's good. She's hot. But it's like, but she's a witch.
Yeah.
So, like, she's still a monster.
Right.
So, I just think it's funny, like, how normal it really is.
Right.
Except when you actually talk about it.
Well, it's even, like, within the craft. And we talked about the craft, and, like, they definitely, like, that, like, throughout the film. Like, especially with Neve Campbell's character.
Yeah.
When their spells become more powerful and whatnot. And then, I mean, it's just prevalent through almost all of horror. I mean, even Hostel really capitalizes on its torture porn. I mean, we already talked about that with the whole bathtub scene and her getting a scythe jammed into her back.
And the chick's getting all off on it. Like,
God, having getting the big O with the big blood.
Yeah, scythe.
She's getting a blood O. Like, fucking, I mean, like...
I don't know. I just think it, like... What's funny is, like, I definitely think this, like, erotic horror, like, everyone instantly just thinks the worst of the worst. It's like, oh, there's all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, like, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And it's not terrible. I mean, everyone's fantasized about having sex with a mermaid or a witch.
Right.
And stuff, and, like, that's horror related. So.
Well, and, like, think about it, man. Like, we know it's looked at as a weird thing, like it's a macabre kind of thing that you shouldn't like really fantasize about. But really think about it. Like, let's put it into today's modern age. Fucking all of our like superhero movies are super sexualized, and there's an erotic, nature to certain
costume.
Scarlet Witch, fucking any of like the men, like when they had a shirtless when they had their shirt taken off. And the reason I bring this up is because people have fantasized about this as their kink, and that's kind of like, oh yeah, Jason Momoa is Aquaman, that's hot. Not really thinking about that dude probably smells like dead fucking fish, but whatever.
Or old salt.
Because
he comes out of the ocean.
Or oil, because we live in a terrible world.
Yeah.
No one really thinks about that, but everyone thinks about like a vampire or like a wolfman or an alien and like, oh, the slimy, gross smell, ew. Mm-hmm. But it's really like when you fantasize about Superman, you're still fantasizing about an alien.
Yeah.
Like, arguably, he looks more like a human, so it's easier, it's more palpable for a mass audience.
That's what I think is funny, and I think that's where like people start getting uncomfortable talking about erotic horror. Is like there's the people who are actually into the less human-looking ones.
Yeah. Like
hentai, for instance, octopus tentacles and stuff. But like, the more human they look, like for me, Morgan, she's a succubus, so she's supposed to look like a hot human.
Yeah.
And then...
this is probably the one subject we should have waited for Aaron, because I'm pretty sure all the dudes are not having a great time.
Probably. I know, Aaron probably would have had a lot to talk about for this.
She would have had so much fun with this. I guarantee it. Like,
RB, Aaron?
This would have been her time to like reel in and talk about Zach Baggins.
Yep.
He'd be like, "You want to talk about eroticism and horror?" And
we totally just took that away from her now.
Yeah, and because you know what she would have loved to talk about? Fucking what's his name? The dude who plays Pennywise.
Bill Skarsgård.
It's Bill Skarsgård. Because she loves that dude, has a huge crush on him, and she would have loved to talk about this.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe she would.
She'll probably talk about it anyways, especially when we tell her that we talked about it.
I know, she's gonna be like, what the fuck? Why didn't you wait for me, you dicks? What do you think about it?
Yeah, sorry.
But I mean, so we're talking about owning up to your kinks. We're talking about owning them, and we'd be hypocrites if we didn't own up to some of ours. So I'm going
I
to
wasn't prepared for that.
You don't have to share yours, but I will at least relate to the listeners here, and I will share one that I thought when I was younger, when I saw it for the first time, got my jollies, and I thought it was weird that I got my jollies. Are you fucking ready for this shit?
What?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
It was Species.
Oh yeah, I did too.
But not like when she was a human, dude.
Oh no, I was like started feeling it when she was like drowning the dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like when they were having sex in the pool. I was just kind of like, huh.
What's going on down there, big guy? Yeah. You moving around there. It's a party or something. I don't know. It's weird. But, like, I mean, fucking dude, like, it happens. And Species might be one of the more tame choices compared to what it is out there.
Yeah.
But I still think it's fairly intense just because of what happens in that movie. But it's owning up to these kinks. You know, don't be ashamed that you're interested in this stuff. And we keep saying that over and over, but it's that we're not going to really like put that out there. If you want to tweet at us and tell us what your kink is, we're not going to make you uncomfortable like that. If you do want to do that, you're more than welcome to, but I mean, that's up to you. We're not going to ask you guys to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. But I mean, the fact of the matter is I know my choice probably just made some people go, ugh. But again, we're all attracted to weird shit. That's all by perspective, really. I mean, I think that's the message for today, dude. Is that don't shame people just because they're into weird shit. Because just because someone gets off on like a stud-looking werewolf doesn't mean you should come down on them, because you're probably into orgies, or you're probably into satanism and masochism, or you probably
find a vampire hot.
Or you're probably into Futannaria, and that's totally okay. Like
Futannaria?
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like being attracted to trans, but it's like over exaggerated. At least that's kind of what I get from it.
Okay.
So it's like they'll put like what's a good example? I don't know. Like they'll take Miss Marvel from the comics and give her a dick.
Oh, okay. So Bowsette.
Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like I'm probably butchering that, and I apologize to anyone that does like celebrate that kink. Just that's freaking how we're going about it, man. It's really nothing personal. This is how we understand things. Again, kings of immature here. But like that's my thing is we're all into weird shit, so you shouldn't just hate someone that is into like what you feel is weirder than that you're into. Yeah, I mean, there's.
If you like to get spit on, do you?
Yeah, that's it, man. Fucking look. Fact of the matter is, life can be short. Own who you are. Be proud of your kinks, and fuck anyone else that tries to make you feel bad for it.
Not literally.
Not literally. I mean, unless that is the kink, because you're being shamed, and that's a thing that people like, and they get off on that. Like, no, that's
I know.
Like, those are usually like people like in power, like to be like. Point being,
they like to be shamed. Yes, mistress.
Yes.
Yeah, mistress.
Oh, your mother hates you. Oh.
Oh, God, yeah.
You're a fucking monster. You're worse than Hitler. Oh, God, yeah.
You're worse than Hitler.
And even Hitler liked things.
He liked his pineapples.
Even he liked Germany. Fucking. But yeah, I mean, what else? Again, this is a subject that we're gonna have to like touch on again later on at a later date. Maybe Aaron will jump on and yell at us.
Yeah. Especially with a little bit more research.
Yeah, because this is just such that big of a subject. It really is, and I don't know. Maybe we'll do it for Valentine's Day. We'll make this a kind of our. I mean, we still got like a little less than a year, I think, or something. I don't know. Who's really paying attention to Valentine's Day? I know Dev and Lauren are, but. So with that being said, I think that's bringing us to the end of this episode. So normally we close out the show with telling you to go and follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and we usually do our whole spiel, and you're used to that by now. But in this instance, we're going to change it up a little bit. So we kind of want to give some respects to a situation that happened recently this past week. Not this week, but the week before. There was a death in the Punk family. David McCabe from California was murdered, and it was really sad to see, because you could see his bandmate really saddened that he is gone, and it was just a really bad situation. And so instead of telling you to support the show and everything, we're going to end the show out on just a minute of silence for him and for everyone that we've lost in the punk scene, because we've also lost some here in Colorado as well. So for the last minute, we're going to do an honorary moment of silence.
Honorary
moment of silence, and thank you, ghouls and gals, for tuning in and letting us talk about horror with you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you again, ghouls and gals. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.